Welcome to the Fit Chicks and Hormones podcast, where I share my insight to help you move through your perimenopause and menopausal years with ease. In this podcast, I talk about natural solutions for balancing your hormones and empowering you to move away from the symptoms like fatigue, mood swings, hot flashes, and resistant weight loss to feeling vibrant, confident, and full of energy as you age gracefully. Let's get started. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Fit Chicks and Hormones podcast. I am Angie Marone, your host, and today I want to talk about something that many women are probably wondering because it's so different in midlife, and that's how to speed up fat loss in menopause. Because here's the thing, right? We all want faster results. I get it. You've been patient, you've been doing all the right things, you're pushing harder, but the scale isn't moving. So your brain goes to, you know what, I'm just going to do more, I'm going to push harder. Because that's what we've done for years and it's worked. And it makes sense that that's what we should do, right? But in menopause, pushing harder is one of the biggest reasons why women plateau, why they lose muscle, that they can't get back, and why they end up feeling worse than when they started. So today what I'm going to do is break down the pros and the cons of trying to lose fat faster. Most importantly, talk about how to actually do it in a way that works with your hormones instead of against them. So let's get into it. So first I want you to understand something, because I think a lot of women need to hear this before we talk about the strategy part of it all, right? So your body is not betraying you, even though you may feel like it is. But your body is operating under a completely different hormonal rule book than it did when it was in your 20s and in your 30s. And here's what is actually happening in your body physiologically. So your estrogen is declining in perimenopause and menopause, right? So what that means is your body is choosing to store fat in your belly. That's what's happening because of that loss of estrogen. And estrogen has a protective effect on where fat is deposited. So when it's dropping, visceral fat increases. That's the fat around your belly and your organs. That is the unhealthy fat that we don't want, okay? And at the same time, you're losing muscle because your testosterone is dropping, your estrogen is dropping, and you're losing muscle a lot faster than you did when you were younger. And without the anabolic support of estrogen, muscle protein synthesis slows down. So even if the scale is the same, your body composition is changing. So maybe you notice you're a little more squishy in those arms, those legs, or you're getting a little bit more squishiness around your belly or around your thighs, right? This means that your metabolism is slowing down as well. Because our muscle is what it makes our metabolism, it makes our engine go. So when we have less muscle, that means we have a slower metabolism. Then on top of that, in this menopausal years, you're the cortisol. I talk about the cortisol all the time, right? So you're very sensitive to cortisol. And this is your primary stress hormone, and what happens is it goes up. And when stress gets harder, because our body is struggling to manage stress the way that it did, it used to be able to handle a lot of stress. It just cannot do it anymore. And what do we do when we want to lose weight? We add more stress to our body. We try to work out more. We eat less food. We do more cardio, right? And what happens is the cortisol is going to respond by telling your body to hold on to fat, and especially your belly fat. And then the next thing you need to focus on, which you probably don't think is related to it, but your sleep. Getting sleep is so important for belly fat. And declining hormones affect our sleep, right? You're probably like, I know I need to sleep better, but I can't. So we need to focus on that and make sure that we can get that back on track, because when your sleep is off, it disrupts and wrecks your hunger hormones. And that makes you hungrier, makes you have more cravings, and your body is fighting this all day long. You're trying to fight those cravings. You're trying to fight that hunger, and you're thinking you shouldn't be eating, so you stop to eat. And then it's putting more stress on your body, putting more belly fat on your body. See, it's a vicious cycle. We need to just figure out how to do this in the right way. And this is the body that you're working in right now. It just is. It's not because you're doing anything wrong. It's just because this is where your body is at, right? And when you understand that, you can actually build a strategy around where it's at that fits with the body that you're in right now. And then you're going to get less frustrated and more results. And that's what we're all looking for. So, without that being said, can you accelerate your fat loss? Can you make it go a little bit faster? Yes, absolutely. But you have to there's context to this, right? You have to do it in the right way. And it has to be a more intentional structured approach versus then just pushing through and doing whatever you think you should be doing, right? We want to make it a smarter move when we're in menopause because we want to get sustainable results. So what you need to do, number one, you need to focus on shorter aggressive phases. This is better than doing the chronic grinding, pushing through, restricting, and making your body suffer. One of the worst things that you can do for your metabolism is moderately undereat for months and months and months on end. This is what most women do, and I see it every time when women start working with me. And they're eating really low calories, right? And they're starving and they're not getting results. And what's happening is their body is slowly adapting to match their intake. So your body knows that it can only do so much dependent on what you fuel it with. So if you're cutting calories, it's going to do less and less and less. And that less is going to be less fat loss. It's going to be less sleep. It's going to be less stress management. All the things is going to be less and less and less because it's just busy trying to keep your body alive. And what happens is then your metabolism's down, your results slow down, you end up feeling miserable. So instead, a better way to do this is called a diet or fat loss phase. Not a diet that you do forever, a phase. And what this does is involves a period of more intentional reduction of calories, followed by returning back to maintenance. So you're going back and forth and back and forth. You're just not chronically undereating and then undereating more and cutting until your body just ends up being there and then you feel awful, right? This is actually better for your metabolism too, because then you're not in a chronic state of deprivation. This means that what you do is you cut your calories for a while, let's say about 4 to 6 weeks, then you go back up to maintenance. Maybe some refeeds in there if your body is stalling. So that's number one. Do it in a more strategic way. Number two, momentum matters. And I'm not just talking about the physical results. I'm talking about the psychological results, the impact of seeing your body respond. Because when we feel like something is working, we stay consistent, right? And in menopause, consistency over time is everything. And when things stall, you know that this is just a phase we're in. We need to go back and do something different and then come back to this phase. So having a specific phase where you're focused on seeing progress can build the kind of confidence and this, I want to continue doing that buy-in, right? That sustains those long-term habits. Knowing that this isn't my forever place, this is where I'm at to lose fat, and then I'm going to learn how to bring my body back to a place that I maintain those results, but I also feel good. And I'm not dieting all the time. Number three, you want to reduce body fat because it has real hormonal benefits, right? So adipose tissue, which is your body fat, it's hormonally active and it produces inflammatory compounds and can dysregulate insulin. So the more fat you have on your body, the more inflammation you have in your body, and it affects the insulin, which we are already having problems with their blood sugar and insulin to begin with, right? So getting to a healthier body composition can actually support better hormonal balance, better insulin sensitivity, and reduce inflammation. So there is a good reason for losing that fat. And not just because we want to look better, but there's a lot of health benefits to having less body fat in our body as well. And number four, you want to have a clear, planned out approach that prevents the all or nothing trap. I just did a talk about this with my clients today about that all or nothing mindset trap that we get into, right? When women don't have structure, we tend to go really hard and then burn out, or we just halfway do things and never really see results. And when we hit a wall, we just give up because it's not working, so I don't care, or I'm not perfect, so I'm not going to do it anymore, right? Instead, having a plan, here's what I'm doing, here's why I'm doing it, here's the time frame, so there's a start and a stop. This is mentally and physically improving your results. So there is a real case for accelerating fat loss. It is important to your overall health. But the question is, how do we do it? Okay? And this is where I want you to really listen, because I see mistakes made with women very often. And it's not just slowing down the results, it's actually making things worse. It's making their hormones worse. And it's actually going to keep them from getting any results for even longer. It's going to be harder to get their body back to a place where it will actually show them results. And here's where they go wrong. Number one mistake that women are making is they're cutting their calories too low. And what happens is when we cut our calories too low, what happens is our cortisol spikes. And the spiked cortisol signals your body to store fat in the belly. So you're cutting those calories thinking you're doing all the right things, but what's happening? You're just growing more belly fat. So the very thing you're trying to fix, you're actually making worse. So if you're dropping your calories, 1,000 calories, 1,200 calories, you're eating chicken, you're eating broccoli, you're doing an hour of cardio every day, you're going to have more belly fat than when you started because your body is in a chronic stress response. It's chronically feeling stressed out. So more restriction is not the answer. Not cutting more calories. Smarter restriction is, and I'll talk about that in a minute. The number 2 mistake that women are making is they're trying to do more cardio. They're overdoing cardio. I love walking. You know this if you follow me, you see me, I'm walking every single day. I talk to my clients about the importance of walking every single day. What I don't love is seeing women that think or talk about how, I need to work out 6 to 7 days a week. I need to do an hour-long workout 6 to 7 days a week. Or I need to add more HIIT sessions every single day of the week, right? To burn more calories, because that's what we think is going to do. We're going to work out more. As we're cutting our calories, it's just causing more problems, especially with our cortisol and our stress response. So in menopause, your body does not have the same recovery capacity as it once did. High intensity, again, elevates your cortisol. It breaks down muscle, which we're losing anyway. We don't want to lose that more. It disrupts your sleep. It spikes your hunger. It makes you more hungry, especially if you're cutting calories. It's not a fat loss tool it seems that it should be. At this stage, it's just not going to work. It probably worked in your 20s and 30s. Not anymore. You have to shift things and do something different. So the number 3 mistake women are making is they're not eating enough protein. If you are under eating protein in menopause, and you know this, I talk about it all the time, you're losing muscle, period. And losing muscle, as I talked about, slows down your metabolism. It makes you weaker. It makes you look softer. Even as that scale goes down, you're getting squishy. You're losing muscle. And it makes everything in the end harder. Protein, it is not optional. I just had to talk a client of mine. She's in her 70s. She's working out. She comes consistently to work out with me twice a week, but she won't eat her protein. Today I sent her 5 different things that she can go get at Costco that have high protein, that are not full of chemicals and junk, that will help her to get her protein, because I want her, otherwise she's just undoing everything that we're doing when we're working out. So she needs to be eating her protein. It's a non-negotiable. You have to do it. It is the foundation of any fat loss approach. Just by increasing your protein, you could potentially lose fat. So if that's enough reason for you to eat more protein, do it, right? The number 4 mistake is treating sleep like it's optional. We could get away with this in our 20s. I remember sleeping 3-4 hours a night, getting up, go to school, right? Getting up, go to classes or go to work or whatever. Easy. I could do that then. I just cannot do that anymore, right? Sleep is not optional. I can't stress this enough. You will not lose fat if you are consistently only getting 5 to 6 hours of sleep a night. Because your your hunger hormones are going to be dysregulated. They're going to be off. Your cortisol is going to be elevated. Your insulin sensitivity is going to be worse. Your cravings are going to be all over the place. If you are sacrificing sleep to get up to do early morning cardio or stay up doing work, stop it. You need to stop. You need to set bedtimes, and you have to do the same thing every single day, every single week. Sleep is the fat loss tool, so treat it like one. Make sure you make it a priority. And mistake number 5 is the all or nothing mindset. Talked about this earlier too, right? This is the one that messes up most women the most, because they go extremely hard for 2 weeks and then they have a bad weekend, or they eat a piece of pizza, or they have a donut, and then they decide that they failed. So they either quit, or it's Friday, I'll just wait and start on Monday, or holidays come up, I'll start next week, right? We can't think that way. Not anymore. It doesn't work like that. Because every time you do this, you're losing more muscle, you're losing more metabolic capacity, and you're losing the confidence to keep going and doing what needs to be done, okay? The goal of accelerating fat loss is so you don't have to suffer. You don't have to diet so you're starving. You don't have to be miserable. You don't have to feel awful, right? It has to be strategically defined in a period of time, right? I've talked about this, so that you can pull back and go and enjoy life again in that sustainable maintenance phase, and then go back into that diet phase. So back and forth, so that you could actually keep the results that you worked so hard for. Because eventually, if you keep cutting and doing more and more and more, and you drop the weight, What happens when you decide you want to go eat that pizza? What happens when you decide to stop working out so much? Guess what? It's all going to go back up. We have to find a way to do it and maintain it. So how do we do it? Let's talk about the strategy, right? Because I want you to have some steps to take, a list with you so that you can walk away knowing exactly what you need to do if you want to do fat loss in menopause. First, you need to eat the protein, right? Anchor everything with protein. Your protein is non-negotiable. In menopause, you should be aiming for 0.7 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So if you're 160 pounds, you're aiming for 112 to 160 grams of protein. Never anything below 100, okay? This protects your muscle tissue, it keeps you fuller longer, and has a high thermic effect, meaning your body's gonna burn more calories processing it. Build your meals around protein every single time. I talked about this. Just by adding more protein, getting your protein up, you could see fat loss happen. So that's why it's number one. Number two, make resistance training your primary workout tool. Not cardio, not HIIT, resistance training. That means resisting the weights, lifting the heavy weights. Or if you're just starting out, do body weight, right? And then start to progressively increase that. This is the most powerful tool you have in your toolbox for body composition, to change the way that your body looks, to change the way that your body feels, to change the way that your body fits in your clothes. It helps to build and preserve muscle, improves insulin sensitivity, meaning, you know what, I can have those carbs and it's not going to affect my body as much. It increases your metabolic rate and it strengthens bone density. So if you're only doing cardio and wondering why you're feeling squishy and your body's changing, it's because you haven't been lifting. You have to add that piece in there. So try to get about 2 to 3 sessions in a week. Prioritize progressive overload. What that means is increasing your weights every single time you do that workout, every single time you do that exercise. Increase it just a little bit. And number 3, you want to use a smart deficit, a smart cut, a smart diet phase, right? Not an extreme one. So when you are going into this cut phase or this fat loss phase, you want to cut your calories about 300 to 500 below your maintenance. That's it. That's where you start and that's where you stay. You want to also make sure that you're eating enough because you don't want to do too much. Because in that cut of 3 to 500, you want to make sure that you're creating real fat loss over time. You don't want to cut so low that you're spiking your cortisol, you have no energy, and you're losing muscle. And I'm going to share an example here. As I've been doing some cutting, some diet phasing, and I had dropped my calories down to 1800 and I was doing really well. For about 3 weeks, I was consistently seeing changes, consistently seeing the scale move, consistently seeing my body change. And I was like, you know what? Because this is what we all do. I was like, you know what? If I'm getting results here, it's great. And in my mind, I was like, don't do it because you're consistently getting results. Stay where you're at. Let me just try to drop down to 1700. This is what happened. I was hungry all the time. I was having cravings. My sleep was off. I didn't have any energy. And guess what happened? The scale went back up because I cut an extra 100 calories. So that's what you want to be paying attention to when you're in this diet phase. If those things are off, you need to go back up and eat more calories. So that's what I'm doing. I'm not staying there anymore. I'm going back up. And now I know the threshold. I cannot go below 1800. My body just will not. I will gain fat, so I have to stay there. So which means that that's my lowest. Instead of cutting calories, I maybe need to do more walking. But before you cut any calories, you need to listen to this part. You need to be eating up to maintenance. And that is not 1600 calories. That should be closer to about 2000, 2400 calories. So if you are sitting and you're tracking and you're sitting about 1600 calories, you need to work your way up to maintenance first. For about 6 to 12 weeks consistently. Before you are doing any cutting of your calories, you're only going to create more metabolic damage and you're never going to lose the fat or sustainably keep it off. So how do you know what your maintenance is? Take your body weight times 12 to 14 and you eat there. Get working up to that with that added protein and then you can do that cut. But then remember, after 4 to 6 weeks, you're going to go back up to that 2000 to 2400 and then cut 300 to 500 down, right? And pay attention to how your body reacts. Number 4 you want to do is you want to, again, we talked about these are phases, right? These are time limited. You're not dieting forever. You're not cutting those calories and then cutting them more and then cutting them more. A focused fat loss phase should be about 4 to 8 weeks. That's it. Then you pull back to maintenance. So you go down, come back up. It's called a diet break, right? For a few weeks, so maybe 1 to 2, maybe 3 weeks, and then you go back down, seeing how you're feeling. If at any time those things go off, like I talked about, you will go back up for a couple weeks, and then you can try going back down. There's different times of the year that are going to be better for this. If you're stressed out and you got a lot of work or things to do, it's not the time to be trying to cut your calories. It just isn't. You're already going to be in a stressed out state because you're eating less, so don't add stress upon stress. This is a midlife strategy for sustainable fat loss. It's different in your 20s and 30s because your metabolism responds better to cycling between cutting your calories and maintenance than it does to just cutting calories for a long time in this phase of life. So, and then psychologically, we know I only have to get through these 4 weeks. I only have to get through these 4 weeks of eating this amount of calories, and then I can go back up for a while. And then I will cut back down, right? Instead of being like, oh my gosh, this is so hard. This is hardly any food. This is hard for me to eat this low calories. And I have to eat less and less to keep getting results. Nope, you need to go back up and back down. Number 5, you need to prioritize low intensity movement over high intensity output. So this is the daily walking I talked about. This is the most underrated fat loss tool in menopause. You can look at Instagram and it is all over. Just need to walk. And guess what? It is a free tool. Get out there and walk. Plus, the sunlight is good for you anyway. And it's good for your cortisol, so it's good for stress management. It supports your cardiovascular health. It improves your mood. It adds caloric expenditure without stressing your system. So you're burning calories without having to do something stressful, without having to run or having to do HIIT or do extreme cardio, right? So you want to aim for about 8 to 10,000 steps. That should be your goal. Here's the thing, because what I like is if you're going to do something first, cut your calories first. See how you feel. If you stall and you're still in that 4 to 6 weeks, bump up your steps. So instead of having to cut calories first, we can just add more movement. That's an easy way to do this versus eating less, especially for someone who loves food like I do. I would rather move more than cut my calories. But cut back on the high intensity cardio. Your body's going to thank you. It's going to respond quicker if you just do your strength training and your walking. And then number 6, you want to protect that sleep, right? This is so important to fat loss. So getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep, consistent sleep schedule, so going to bed and waking up at the same time as much as you can. Sleep in a cool, dark room. Limit alcohol. You may think that alcohol is helping you sleep, but it's not helping you get good sleep at all. It's going to cause hot flashes, night sweats. It's going to spike your insulin. It's not a good thing. If your sleep is not good, focus on that before you start doing any fat loss. Focus on that. Whether it's taking magnesium, it's eating more food, because a lot of times we're not eating enough food. Maybe it's eating more carbohydrates. It's eating balanced meals. And at some point, maybe if you've done all the lifestyle things, it may be some hormone replacement, right? But you cannot out-diet bad sleep. If your sleep is off, you will never lose fat. 100%. And the last thing, you need to manage your stress. Cortisol management and stress care, you have to figure it out somehow. Whether it's the walking, which you're already doing, so 2 for 1. Whether it's breath work, whether it's journaling, whether it's going to therapy, whether it's setting boundaries and saying no more and choosing you more. Maybe it's sitting in the sun. I love to sit in the sun and just listen to podcasts. For me, that's relaxing. I love that, right? Takes my mind away from all the other things I need to do. You cannot separate your stress levels from your body composition. So if you're stressed out, you're not going to lose any fat. I promise. They go hand in hand. Stress is going to cause more belly fat, cause more fat, so you need to manage it in some way. So hopefully that was helpful. I want to end this with something that I want you to really pay attention to and really to listen to. For women who struggle the most in this fat loss phase is not because they aren't motivated, they're lacking discipline. It's because they're trying to do the wrong things for a body that's asking for something that is completely different. So you just have to shift your mindset to, the old things that I used to do aren't working, I need to try something different. And what's the worst that could happen if you tried something different, right? If you're already not seeing results, what's the worst thing that could happen if you tried something else and you didn't get results? But I guarantee you, trying something different will get you the results. You cannot, and you have to keep in mind that you cannot force your body into results through suffering, through dieting, so you're hungry, through thinking you have to work out every day, through pushing through those workouts instead of sleeping. That's not the way to do it. What works is being strategic. It's being patient. This is hard for us women. We want to see those results right now, but you have to be patient with a structured plan. You have to protect your muscles. You have to be doing weight training. You have to be feeding your body enough to function. That is the number one thing that has to happen, because without that, even your hormones aren't going to be functioning properly. And you need to cycle through these phases, right? There's intention between each phase. The diet phase, the maintenance phase. You go back and forth so that your body is not stuck in that stressed out mode of dieting all the time. And right now, between the ages of 40 and 60, you're working with a body that just needs something different than it did 10 years ago. And once you start meeting the needs of that body, instead of fighting against them, everything's going to change. And the goal isn't just about fat loss, where I know that's where many of us are. We're like, yes, it is. That's what I want to do. But it's not about fast fat loss, right? The goal is to build a body and a lifestyle that you can sustain at 50, 60, 70, 80. That's what we want. If you are tired of dieting, this is the approach you need. You deserve a strategy that works for your body right now at this stage of life. And hopefully this all gave you an idea of what that should look like. And hopefully it's different from something that you're doing right now. All right, so thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you all so much for tuning in and listening. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to share it with a woman in your life who maybe is in this midlife transition and they're struggling and feeling frustrated with their body right now. Or a friend or whoever it is, somebody that you have had a conversation with that, you know what, they would benefit from this, or any of my podcasts. I'd love if you would share any of them. And if this sounds like you, and you've been doing all the wrong things, even though you think you're doing the right things, and you want to go deeper, and you want a specific framework, something that works for you, with the meal timing, the training approach, the whole thing mapped out for you, my Midlife Makeover program is just for you. This is exactly what we focus on. This is exactly what gets my clients to lose 10, 15, 20, 30 plus pounds. I will link that in the show notes, and I only take a few clients each month because it's a bit more individualized. So if you're interested, check that out. If you have any questions, you can send me a DM on Instagram or Facebook with any questions, and then that's all I have for you. Thank you so much again, and until next time. Hey there. Let me guess. You've been doing all the things you used to do, but suddenly your body just isn't responding anymore. The weight's not budging, you wake up feeling tired, even after a full night's sleep. Your stomach feels bloated by the end of the day, and honestly, you just don't even feel like yourself anymore. And I get it. This stage of life, whether it's in perimenopause, menopause, or beyond, it can feel like your body has turned against you. But here's the thing. Your body isn't broken. You just need a new approach that actually works with your hormones, not against them. And this is exactly what I help women do in my 3-month Midlife Makeover program. This isn't about crash dieting, endless cardio. Instead, we focus on rebuilding your energy, balancing your hormones through nutrition and lifestyle, and creating strength in your body, which is going to help you to feel confident in your skin again. What makes this different is that it's not a one-size-fits-all plan. We work together to create a lifestyle that actually fits into your life and works at any stage of menopause. Because, let's be real, life is not going to stop just because your hormones are shifting. So if you're ready to stop fighting your body and finally start feeling like yourself again, feeling lighter and stronger, full of energy, I'd love to walk this journey with you. Click the link in the show notes to learn more about the Midlife Makeover program. Your best years don't have to be behind you. This is just the beginning. I hope this episode today resonated with you, and if it did, I would love for you to share it on your stories and tag me on Instagram or Facebook. A review would be appreciated too. Your reviews and shares not only help us to grow, but they give other women who are struggling through their menopausal years hope that they don't have to continue living the way that they do. Your questions and experiences are also so helpful in giving me subjects to talk about. So feel free to reach out to me anytime on Facebook or Instagram with anything. I would love to help.